Hello, everybody. My name is Karen Spruyt, and today I will talk to you about sleep. I would like to thank the organizing committee for the invitation to talk. And so my talk will be divided into three sections. So what do we know about sleep? What are the most common issues? And what can be done and who to consult? So sleep is defined based on our brain waves and also on our eye movements, the muscle tone, as well as cardiorespiratory functioning. So based on these brain waves and these functions, we can divide sleep into stage N1, stage N2, and stage N3, or what we call the non-REM sleep, so the non-rapid eye movement sleep, which is characterized by slow eye movements, a reduced muscle tone, and slow and regular cardiorespiratory functioning. We also have the REM sleep, or the rapid eye movement sleep, which is a paradoxical sleep or a paradoxical stage, because we have rapid and or fast random eye movements. We have an absent muscle tone, and we have fast and irregular cardiorespiratory function. So, but this structure is creating or is maturing, is developing throughout our childhood. And so when we are as adults, when we go to bed, we fall asleep, and that is, we spend some time in stage N1, then we will go to a slightly deeper sleep, which is stage N2, and then we will spend some time in the deepest sleep, stage N3. Sometimes the sleep becomes a little bit lighter, and we might turn, and then, as you can see, our first REM sleep starts. So this is called sleep cycle. So the cycle from non-REM all the way becoming a little bit lighter sleep, and then our first REM period or REM episode. Depending on our sleep duration, we will have 4 to 6 of these sleep cycles, because in adults, a sleep cycle lasts about 90 to 110 minutes. Now, when we are born, this sleep cycling is much faster. It's around 50 to 60 minutes. And also the characteristics of stage N, stage 2, stage 3 are not as developed or not as characterized as we would see it in adults. So we talk about the quiet sleep, which will later on develop, will become the non-REM sleep. Will show these characteristics of stage N1, 2, and 3. And we will have, as a baby, we will have active sleep, which will develop, which will mature into the rapid eye movement sleep. And also, as you can see here, so this baby falls asleep in REM and then spends some time into the lighter non-REM sleep, as well as in the deeper sleep. So around 3 months, this sleep structure starts to have more of the characteristics as we can see it in adults. And some of the characteristics, the physiological characteristics, are even at the age of 6, 7 months really clear on the polysomnography or on our sleep study. So as a child, what is also interesting to see is that it spends a lot of its first period of its sleep into this deeper non-REM sleep, whereas towards the end of its sleep, the child will spend more into the REM sleep. So the proportionally will spend more time in REM sleep. But also at old age, this sleep structure will still change. So this structure of sleep, or this characteristics of sleep through our lifespan, changes. And so as an adult, we spend about, of our sleep duration, total sleep duration, about 20% into the REM sleep and around 80% into the non-REM sleep. But as I just said, this is not the case when we are born. So when we are born as a newborn, you spend about 50% of your sleep time in this REM sleep and 50% into this non-REM sleep. And as this figure is showing, this proportion will change throughout your life. It will change, and so it will determine your sleep, your quality of sleep. And then there's another element that comes into play, and that is what we call the two-process model of sleep, which explains that throughout the day, the sleep pressure will increase. So the homeostatic, the drive, the need to sleep will increase. And at the same time, the circadian rhythm, the biorhythm, will try to keep us and push us to remain awake up till a certain point in the evening, where actually they will start to promote, the two processes will start to promote towards sleep, and they will make sure that we can actually remain asleep and fall asleep, remain asleep, and be repaired and refreshed for the next morning. So it is a distribution of the REM and the non-REM sleep, the characteristics of the non-REM sleep, as well as the homeostatic pressure, the sleep pressure, and the circadian rhythm, all combined as a cocktail, will make up our sleep, our quality, our duration, and our timing of our sleep. So that is sleep in a nutshell. So what are the most common issues of sleep in individuals with Rett syndrome? So first we need to know, in terms of typically developing children, if they come to the sleep clinic, they will sleep about 8 hours, and they will spend about 25 minutes to fall asleep. And during the period that they are asleep, during this time, this 8 hours, they spend around half an hour, 30 minutes being awake, spread out over that sleep period. So if you look at this distribution of the sleep stages across the sleep duration, it's around 7% they spend of their time in stage 1, 40% in stage 2, 30% in stage 3, the deep sleep, as well as 20% in the REM sleep. Now, if we combine all the polysomnography or all the sleep studies done in children or people or individuals with Rett syndrome that are published in literature, then and who also come to a sleep clinic, you see that they sleep about 7 hours, that the sleep onset latency, so the time to fall asleep, is about 20 minutes, and that the period to stay, that they stay awake throughout this sleep duration is around 66 minutes. So you can also see here that the percentage in stage N1 is 8%, in stage 2 is 40%, in the non-REM stage 3, so the deep sleep, it's 35%, and in the REM sleep, it's about 60%. If we group data in the literature in a different way, the literature of cases, so only one child being reported in the scientific paper, or 2 or 3 or a couple of children reported in the literature, if we combine all those data, they also come to a sleep clinic. They sleep about 7 hours. The sleep onset latency, so the time to fall asleep, is around 23 minutes. And you can see in these cases, the sleep after sleep, the wake after sleep onset is much longer, is 190 minutes almost. And what you can see again in the distribution of the sleep, proportional sleep stages, it's 41% in stage 3 and 14%, almost 15% in the REM sleep. Then we go into those only affected by the MECP2 characteristic or group based on this genotype. So here you see the sleep duration is 8.6 hours in the sleep clinic, the time to fall asleep around 17 minutes, the wake after sleep onset about 82 minutes. And then you see again the distribution for the stage N3 and also for the REM sleep. Now, in the literature, we also see that the cases or the reports are on children or on adults that come to the sleep clinic because of sleep disordered breathing. So we split the results into those without sleep disordered breathing, because sleep disordered breathing is affecting the structure of sleep, the quality of sleep. And so these individuals slept around 9 hours, took about 20 minutes to fall asleep, and 83 minutes wake after sleep onset. And you can see here that the sleep proportion again of stage N1, stage N2, stage N3, and then of the REM sleep. Now, what is interesting, as I just said, a large proportion of individuals with Rett syndrome have sleep disordered breathing. You can see the severe sleep disordered breathing in childhood is almost 40% of them suffer sleep disordered breathing. So if you look at the sleep structure of these individuals, they sleep around 7.9 hours. It took 12 minutes to fall asleep, but they had a huge sleep need. So the pressure was clearly there. And then you have 93 minutes of wake during the sleep period. And you can see that the stage N2, so the lighter non-REM sleep, is 34%, as well as the stage N3 is 44.5%. And then you have 14% in REM sleep. So if we compare that statistically to these typically developing children, then we can conclude that individuals with Rett syndrome spend much more time awake during this sleep period. So fragmented awakenings during the night, during the sleep period, that the spending time in the stage N1 is slightly longer than in typically developing, that they spend much more time in the deep sleep, and that this REM sleep is also significantly shorter. So if I now show those structures, those hypnograms of individuals with Rett syndrome, you actually see here that for this girl, it took a long time to fall asleep. And you can see immediately here that she spent a lot of time awake during this sleep recording, during this sleep period, and not that many hours or not that much time in the non-REM sleep. The second one has much more in the non-REM deep sleep and some periods of REM sleep, whereas the other one had a lot of fragmented sleep, a lot of short awakenings in contrast to the top one. So what we can see, and as a complaint, you might come with, okay, my child, my girl with Rett syndrome has difficulties falling asleep, has difficulties maintaining sleep, and as a consequence of this poor sleep, may show more sleepiness, somnolence during the daytime. So what can be done and who to consult? So if there is a sleep complaint, all sleep experts will first try to figure out what is a sleep duration. So how much time does this person spend to sleep? What is the sleep quality? Are there certain sleep behaviors? Are there certain sleep elements, issues that we need to know? Like, is there snoring? Is there difficulties for breathing? Is there teeth grinding? And then we will also ask about, apart from what the sleep is, how does this relate to daytime functioning? So how sleepy are they during the daytime? Are they more moody? Are they more irritable? And what we also will look for is when the sleep falls, so the timing of sleep in our 24-hour rhythm, because all combined makes that cocktail, as I just showed on one of the previous slides. So when you come with a sleep complaint, it is ideal that you first have kept a little bit of a diary, around 2 weeks, where you make a note of the bedtime, the rise time, the number of wakings, how long the wakings were, certain behaviors or certain things that you notice or you observe, and you can write it down in that diary. We will also ask you to talk to your primary care physician about it, because often with individuals with a neurodevelopmental disability, that they will think that the sleep issue is a comorbid element, is a comorbid symptom. But first of all, if that is the case, we need to consider and discuss this and talk about potential management. Sometimes, like sleep disordered breathing, it could be that by treating the sleep disordered breathing, the quality of sleep will improve, and also the daytime symptoms will disappear. So first, talk with your primary care physician, talk to the treating physician, talk to the multidisciplinary team, and discuss the current pharmacological treatment, discuss the medications the child is currently on. What we will also recommend is that there is a medical checkup, and a medical checkup for example, iron deficiency, because it can be associated to certain sleep disorders. Now, the first line treatment for any sleep disorders, and primarily for those with insomnia, with difficulties falling asleep, difficulties maintaining asleep, and difficulties with waking up too early, our first line approach is sleep hygiene and behavioral treatments, or behavioral approaches. So having a regular bedtime, making sure that the bedroom is quiet, is dark, is relaxing, comfortable temperature, comfortable bedding, positive routines to go to bed, and then daytime activities that promote optimal sleep. Keep a bed, keep the bedroom for sleep. Now, pharmacological management could be, and is reported in the literature, but few cases are reported with respect to Rett syndrome, that is melatonin or a dopamine agonist or GABA agonist or polytherapy. But I would really like to stress that there's too little or too few studies on pharmacological management in Rett syndrome to make any firm recommendations. So I would highly recommend you to talk with your treating physician, to talk with the multidisciplinary team, and to check the current pharmacological treatment, and to implement all these behavioral approaches to the little issues that might surface, and then take it step by step to work towards an optimal sleep of your child. So with this, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to your questions. Thank you very much.